What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop. In this episode, we'll be previewing the Collingwood Geelong clash. Let's get into it. Now, Collingwood Geelong, Friday night. Huge. This is a huge game for so many reasons, right? Geelong obviously want to work their way into the top 8. We want to not lose 3 games in a row like Port Adelaide have and really mess up our chances. It is a perfect time for a win, obviously, because we haven't been to Collingwood. We have known and loved for these last 2 seasons in the last 2 weeks. Carlton just absolutely demolished us. Hawthorn, 16th on the ladder, absolutely demolished us. No Collingwood brand to speak of, no spark, no sort of enjoyment. I tweeted that it was like 2017 last week. That was the sort of football we were playing. No run, it was just not Craig McRae football, McRae ball, or whatever you want to sort of call it. It was just crazy, right? We now have the most perfect opportunity to show not only, the competition, but to show the media, to show opposition fans, and to show us, our fans, that we are here to play. We have a big 3 weeks coming up, all Friday night games. So I love Friday night games and I hate Friday night games because you're literally, besides if there's a game on Thursday, you're the first, right? So everything on Saturday is about you until the next game is played. So all eyes are on us, and it's the biggest stage. It's the MCG against the reigning premiers. It's sold out. There's going to be, I reckon, at least 85,000. We obviously versed them earlier on in the year, and that was a great game. That was a game where we came from behind. It was round 1. We were like, okay, they were just coming off a premiership. We were coming off, that prelim heartbreak again, and then we just absolutely blitzed them, and it was scintillating Collingwood football, especially in that last quarter where we showed the competition that, last year wasn't just some sort of fluke. We're here to play, and look where it's led us. We're 2 games clear on top of the ladder. We've got the best percentage in the league, and I know these last 6 weeks haven't been good, but like I've just said, this is a perfect time to absolutely stamp ourselves back into, finals. I was going to say contention, but back into the finals race pretty much. So Geelong played Port Adelaide last week, and it was actually a really good game. Port Adelaide were really undermanned. Everyone was expecting Port Adelaide to lose, but they put up a good game against the Cats, who just needed to win to obviously try and get into the finals race. The Cats are a bit of a weird one. They've had a bit of a rollercoaster this season, obviously losing their first 3 games, and now they're starting to kick into a little bit of gear. Tom Stewart is one guy to absolutely look out for. Now, we didn't have sort of any answers to James Sicily last week, and he towered us, right? He just did everything that he wanted to do. He was the one leading Hawthorn into attack and leading from the back, and he's their captain, right? And I think up until halftime, he had 20-something disposals or something crazy, but he obviously got the 10 coaches' votes, and he'll probably get the 3 Brownlow votes, you would think, as well for that game. And if we don't put like a defensive forward on Tom Stewart or don't put work into him, he's going to do what James Sicily done to us. With Geelong, if you want to sort of win the game, you've got to shut down these certain players. And Tom Stewart is their guy, who is probably one of the best intercept guys in the league. He had the best intercept possessions last week against Port. Over 500 metres gained, and just was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do. I think Craig McRae will learn from his mistakes against, not putting someone, or like not a hard tag, but someone on Sicily to sort of nullify him like the Saints did. We'll have someone on Tom Stewart to keep him accountable. That's all it is, to help us, because, like I said, if we let him do what Sicily did, we're just going to get done again, like what Hawthorn were able to do to us. Someone else that did really well against Port Adelaide was the old Collingwood player, Ollie Henry, who kicked 4 goals. So he's going to be another one to look out for. Look, again, like I said in round 1, I don't condone any sort of booing towards a player unless they're lining up for a shot at goal. So, but do what you will. I'm just saying that. So I can say that, get that on the record. in regards to Geelong and their sort of list going into this game, Jack Henry is a huge out. He might not play for the rest of the season, so that's really going to help us. Tom Hawkins, now, he was ruled out last week. He isn't fully ruled out this week. I think he had to get up in a training session today, but I haven't read or seen anything if he gets up or not. If he doesn't play, look, of course it's going to help us if Tom Hawkins doesn't play. It'll leave Darcy Moore a little bit free to sort of do what he wants. Darcy Moore these last couple of weeks has been sort of, or has had to really play a one-on-one role. Charlie Curnow he had to play on, and I think it was Mitch Lewis that he played on for most of the game last week. And a couple of their other tools who definitely went down there as well. So that's a wait and see. No Hawkins out kind of tips the scale towards the Pies as well. So look, it just really depends what sort of Geelong come out. They get done at Kardinia Park or GMHBA Stadium to Fremantle. They lose to Brisbane. They obviously go and beat Port as well. So it depends on what Geelong rock up and what Collingwood rock up. Now, Collingwood, we know what happened last week in regards to sort of injuries and what's going on. No Nick Dacos, no Steele Sidebottom, who was ruled out today as well. Nathan Murphy, who we thought was going to be out for 3 weeks, was only really out for 3 days because he trained fully today and didn't look sore at all. Obviously, he's going to be a wait and see. Do they risk him? Do they not? Is it worth risking him? But in regards to who I think will sort of bring in, I think Will Hoskin-Elliott definitely comes in for Steele Sidebottom on that sort of wing. I know not a lot of people like Will Hoskin-Elliott, but he does what he needs to do, and I think he's a good replacement on the wing. He can play that sort of high half forward wing role that he usually does. I think Markov comes in off the substitute bench and into that half back position. Like McRae and everyone's sort of been saying, you can't replace Nick Dacos. That's not going to happen, but you can help alleviate what we miss without him. So Markov into that running half-back role, I think will do a world of good. And I honestly think Jack Ginnivan comes back in as well to provide that spark. You'll see in a chat I had with my best mate, Justin, we talk about Ginnivan and how he gets the crowd up. The crowd has been in a bit of a lull these last 2 weeks, and fair enough, Carlton and Hawthorn really sucked it out of us. But with Ginnivan back, and if he comes back, it would just give the spark that we need. And his form in the last 4 or 5 weeks in the VFL has been really good. They haven't been spectacular, but it's been really good. He's playing that sort of high half forward role, so he's adding more strings to his bow, and I think that would really help us. Now, Collingwood, just in general, in regards to this game, how we're going to win and what's going to happen, right? Like I said at the start of the video, the Collingwood brand of footy has not been there at all. Craig McRae came out and said today that, we were hunted, but now we want to hunt. We want to be the hunter now. And I know we're sitting first on the ladder, and I've said in reviews and the Nick Dacos video, or the Collywobbles video that I posted up yesterday, that I think creeping in is a bit of complacency with the team. Like, oh yeah, we're 2 games clear of the ladder. Port Adelaide keep dropping games. We'll be okay if we drop a few games, and that's a real bad mentality to have. And I've said that as well. But I do think that this is going to be the start of our second half of the season. I don't think we play like we played against Carlton. I don't think we played like we played against Hawthorn against Geelong, because we know straight away this is going to be such a finals-like atmosphere. It's going to be like the qualifying final last year, right? Because for Geelong, this looks like an elimination almost, because they need to keep winning. And for Collingwood, we just have to be back on brand, and we're missing a spark, and we're missing that Collingwood footy that we've grown to love. And I think this Geelong game is going to bring it back. We're going to see Darcy Moore intercepting more. We're going to see Jeremy Howe, maybe come out of his shell a little bit. He has been a bit quiet. Our forward line has been a little bit dysfunctional. Brody Mychek has been down for quite a bit since returning from that injury. He needs to work in tandem with McStay. So there's a lot of moving cogs in this team that need to start firing. And now without Nick Dacos, without the best player in the league, without the best Collingwood player, everyone needs to lift 2 or 3%. We've been really down on clearances. We lost the centre clearances 18-3 last week. And they've got Reece Stanley back in, or not back in, but they've got Reece Stanley in the side, and he's going to dominate in the centre, in the ruck against Darcy Cameron, unless we bring in a Mason Cox maybe. But our midfielders, who were the number one clearance side, number one scoring from clearances, need to just lift 2 or 3%. If Tom Mitchell is playing, he needs to show us what he showed us in the first 12 rounds. Taylor Adams needs to get on his bike. Jack Crisp going into the middle. I would love to see Bo McCreary go into the middle because of that bark and that bite that he brings to the team. I think he could really lift. We saw him a little bit in the middle last week against Hawthorn. Game was dead, but we saw what he can do in the middle, and his speed, that sort of inside mid sort of speed, because we're just really one-dimensional down there. We're really slow coming out of that middle, so especially now without Nick Dacos. So I think Bo would inject a little bit of youth and a little bit of speed into that middle. That's definitely going to be a focus point if they bring in Mason Cox back or Darcy Cameron. Geelong have a really deep midfield. When I highly doubt we're going to see stoppage clearance stats like that 18-3 from Hawthorn last week. That is going to be a main focus on this week at training, and I think that's I think we actually might come out on top just all clearance wise, because that's what we were good at. That was our sort of, is it called a one iron or something? I'm no good at golf. For the first half of the season, or first 2/3 of the season, I think we're going to start bringing that out, because we've been really lost. We've been really lost without all of that. All it comes down to for me is I just want to see some fight. I want to see some dare. I want to see Collingwood hunting. I want to see players cheering on Smothers, cheering on tackles. I just want to see a hunger and a spark again that we haven't seen for the last fortnight. Show me something. Even if we lose, just show me that we're on the right path. And yes, we're 2 games clear and we've got the best percentage in the league. But I want to see something, and I dare say it is going to start on Friday. My big calls and predictions into this game, I think we're going to win by about 4 goals. I don't know what's telling me that. Call it naivety, but call it whatever you want. But I think we're going to win by 4 goals. And my big call is that Brody Mychek is going to kick 3 goals. And maybe my other big call is that Jack Ginnivan is actually going to get a game, whether that's the sub or not. I think he's going to finally be rewarded for his good efforts. But let me know your thoughts down below. How do you see this game sort of playing out? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see all these little bits. If we can, etch up that 2-3% that we really need to. But in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and also next time, double checkers. I'll swoop you later.